The materials and the tools that we will be using to make this bag is, I'm going to start off with our yarn. This is from Michael's Impeccable. It is the color Grape Punch. Now in my film it looks blue, but this yarn is purple. I also have some yarn I bought at AC Moore. It is a Fashion 2 yarn in a variegated, there's no color name here, but the colors are green, yellow, and white. I have a 12-inch ruler, a 1/4-inch hole punch, a size G 4mm crochet hook, a pen, a large eye tapestry needle. Now this is made by the company called Pellon. It is a very thick, I'm showing my secret already, it's a very thick interfacing, and this side is just the felted Pellon. The other side has a glue base. I chose this because it makes it stiffer, even though we will not be ironing this. I have a heavy vinyl. Now even though this has a flannel backing, you want the kind that is very thick, not the thin vinyl, and a piece of paper. Two additional yarn colors that we're going to be using is Red Heart Super Saver Accent in the color Hyacinth. Hyacinth is a purple color. I know the camera is showing it as a blue. The next Red Heart Super Saver color that we have here is medium purple. We will also be using two types of scissors. One's for cutting paper and the other one will be for cutting fabrics. The first thing we're going to do is to make a circle. Now you'll see my nice pretty bowl here. It is made by Mary Yoder. She is a local artisan here in Newport News. I should say Betty Yoder. Sorry. And what you want to do is you want to turn it upside down with your pen, draw all the way around it so that you have a circle. After you have traced your bowl with a pair of scissors, I'm going to come in and cut on the line all the way around till you have your circle totally cut out. After you cut your circle out, we're going to fold it in half. And then we're going to fold it in half again. Trying to line up our edges. Okay. Then we're going to take the top one here and we're going to bring it down. See if you can make your center here with a point and bring it up to the edge. We're going through all this so that we can find our hole placements. Okay, so after you've done that, let's see if we can go ahead and make our point again. And we're going to bring this over to this folded end in here. and go all the way down. Okay, so we have a fold like this. We went from half to a quarter to an eighth here. All right. So go ahead and get that far, and then we will move on. Now with this small section right here, we're going to take that and fold it into thirds. So you're going to have to play with it just a little bit. But now if you don't get the points, that's okay. But what we do need to try and do is make it so that this edge and this curve and this edge all line up together. If this doesn't line up down here, that's okay. So we're going to take this. We're not playing with this end here. We're just dealing from this end to this end right here. Oh, you noticed I got my nails done today, huh? They look a lot better, don't they? Okay, so fold it once, and you have to play with it just a little bit, and then fold it again. Nope, that's a little too big. So we'll take that one and move it over there. That looks like about right. There we go. All right. So even though this will not line up, that's okay, because what we're worried about is this top section, because this is where we're going to be punching our holes. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's open it back up. 1, 2, 3. We're not going to fold it anymore here. We're just going to use where we place the 3. Okay? So let's get out our hole punch. And we're going to come down about 1/8 to 3/16 from the edge. And when we put our hole up here, we want it to be in the center of this folded section. Now I know you can do this. It'll take a little time. That's the reason why we're using paper. Okay, can you kind of see that with the... Okay, let me see what I got here. Yep. And then squeeze it. And pull your paper out, and this is what you should have. You'll notice that the distance on this side is the same as the distance on this side. So let's open it up, and we have 3 holes, and they all look the same. If it's not exactly the same, don't worry. We're going to cover all of this with yarn, but we want to have it close to the right size. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and lay it down on top of our other 1/8 of an inch side, or 1/8 of an inch of that pie here. Then we're going to take our hole punch, okay, and line it up. So if you got a bright light, that helps a lot. Take it and line it up, and before you punch it, make sure it's lined up with that hole, and then punch it. So here's 1. Here's 2. And here's my 3rd one. Okay. Then we're going to open it up again. I think you're going to get the idea here. Punch, 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 punch. And then open it up again, and you'll punch the last half right there. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you in just a second. Please pause your video. See what you can do without having to buy it at the store. Isn't this great? Now, I can see where some of mine have spaced just a little bit far and some are just a little bit narrow, but I'm not going to worry about it because, like I said, we're going to cover that with chain stitches to hide all these holes anyway. So yes, I'm not perfect. Who is? Okay, so what we're going to do next is we have our cutout pieces of our vinyl and of our pellon. Now, since I got ahead of myself, what you're going to do is you're going to place this onto your vinyl. And you're going to come in here with your pen. You're going to draw all the way around it. And you're going to draw your circles. Go around your circles. Take your time as you do it. You don't want to accidentally rip your pattern. And then after you've done that with your vinyl, you're going to do it onto the glue side of your pellon. So you'll place your pattern down on top, draw around it, and draw around the circles. After you've completed that, okay, you're going to get your scissors and you're going to cut out your circle. I'm just going to show you a small portion of this because it'll be the same on both of them. Then you take your hole puncher. You line it up before you snap it. Can you see how my circle is right underneath the hole puncher? Punch it, and there you go. Please do this to the pellon and to the vinyl, and I'll meet you in just a minute so we can start crocheting our bag. Please pause your video. Now that took some time, didn't it? So here I have mine cut out and hole punched, and if you bought the same pellon, you'll see that the side with the glue on it kind of glitters a little, or you can feel the roughness as compared to the smooth side of the felting on the other. The felting will be on the inside of the purse, while this gluing will go to the top of the backing of our vinyl. Now, if you remember when I told you about mine, I had one section that's a little bit larger than the other. That happened by accident. Obviously you can see it's where I had it folded in half. So here's one end and here's the other. So on mine, let's place the glue side down. I'm going to find those same two holes and line them up. Of course, this happened by accident. Sometimes things are just never perfect. But you see how perfect everything lined up here? So let's get our hook and our yarn ready, and let's start the making of our bag. I know you're sitting here thinking, wow, huh? But you also notice too, it's nice and not stiff, not like leather stiff, but it is stiff enough so that if you put something in here, it won't totally collapse. So let's get started. Let's get out our hook, and I'm going to start with my purple yarn. You know, never finding that center pull is ever easy, so I wanted to show you what I do. I get in here and I stretch the center of that yarn skein open as much as I possibly can. Then I try to find the center of that and pull some yarn out. Now, of course, I'll probably get a yarn barf, but this happens a lot to me. So I wanted to, oh, look, I got an extremely huge one this time. and it's a never a dull moment thing. And so now I'm going to have to go back and undo all of this until I find my yarn start. So just some of the funs of crocheting, but I thought I'd share that with you. So let's get our yarn ready. Pause your video if you pulled out a huge yarn barf as I did. And let's get ready to crochet. So with that joyous occasion over with, of all that yarn, so if you have the same thing, I guess I don't have to encourage you, but you might want to pull some yarn out so that you have it where your tension will be fine as you crochet. So in this case, we're going to have a short tail, maybe about 4 inches long. I'm going to place a slip knot on that yarn and tighten it down on your hook. Where your holes line up, I'm going to encourage you to start in any location. We're going to start with a standing single crochet. So to start, place your finger on the loop on your hook, go through any hole, yarn over, and pull up a loop. This is where you might have to snug it just a little bit so that your tension of your yarn is the same on both sides. Yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. We're going to be placing 2 single crochets per hole as we go around. So insert your hook into the hole again, pull up a loop, try to make them all the same, and tighten your tension just a little. Yarn over and through both loops. We're going to go on to the second hole. The same thing. Now this first round will be important, so I encourage you to take your time with it. This isn't a rush. It is something not normal that people work with. Just take your time. You notice that I'm not going super fast. I'm not in a race, because when it's all said and done, we want it to look nice. Now, the idea behind this, even though it is a 7-inch circle that I have for the instruction here, is to that you can use this as a day bag, as a makeup bag, as a gift for somebody, or maybe just to put things away for the season or something. I find that kids really like these bags, and with this nice bottom, if they set it on something, it won't scratch and snag your yarn that bad. So continue around with 2 single crochets per stitch. I'll meet you back at this last hole where we will slip stitch into that first one and then move on to our next step. So did you have fun going around this circle? I did. So let's close off our circle here. We're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet and chain 2. 1, 2. In our next single crochet stitch, half double crochet, and we're going to do 1 half double crochet all the way around. Continue on, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Please pause your video. At the end of this row, you'll notice that it is starting to curl up. That was the reason why I wanted you just to do one row of the half double crochet. So now we're going to continue on with another three rows of the half double crochet. At the end of each row you'll be doing this same thing, where we were going to join at the top of the chain 2 with a slip stitch. That 2 will count as a half double crochet. Chain 2, and in our next stitch we'll do a half double crochet. Continue this for another 3 rows, so we have a total of 4 rows of half double crochet, and then we're going to start into our pattern. I'll meet you there. Please pause your video. I guess something I should add on is a lot of times I ask you to pause your video. I noticed you'll notice my little friend here, my little mouse. I usually listen to music or watch a movie. So I encourage you to do that also as you're doing these additional rows. Please pause your video. So after we've completed these 4 rows, I'm sure that yours is probably in the same position as mine. I encourage you to take your edge, roll it down, and then flip it over. So now we will be crocheting with the right side up facing us. We're going to start on our pattern. This is going to be row 1. So the first thing we're going to do is chain 3. Here I've got chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. For this whole row we're going to do double crochet. So to do a double crochet, yarn over, insert into that first stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. As you go around, you're going to do a double crochet in every stitch. When you're completed, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. What I would like for you to do is to make sure that your count, including the chain 3, is an even number. Okay, so you count the chain 3 as 1, 2, 3, so on around. So when you get to this last stitch here, this will be the odd number or the even number, and then we will slip stitch this closed. Okay, so my stitch count here is 96. Okay, so let's continue on with our double crochet in each stitch around to start our pattern of row 1. So at the end, like I've asked you before, to please count starting with the chain 3 all the way around. Now you'll see where I end with 96 here. Now say like if you end with an odd number right here, you can add one more double crochet here and that will be fine. It will not distort your pattern. So to finish off this row, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, chain 1, and this will start row 2. Row 2 is a very simple one. Single crochet in every stitch around. If you want, might be a good idea to count to make sure that you keep your even number count. And I'll meet you at the end of the row where we will slip stitch and then chain 3 again. So at the end of our single crochet row, we have slip stitched into the first chain of our row. So here we're going to go ahead and cut our yarn, and we're going to change to our medium purple color. So with a small tail, place it over your hook and bring it through. Tighten up your first chain and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to encourage you to pull some more yarn out, and I'm going to do that right now. Please pause your video and let's do that. So this is row 3 of our pattern. The chain 3 does count as our first double crochet. So what we're going to do here is we're going to place a front post treble into the double crochet of our row 1 of our pattern here. So to make a front post treble, place your finger on your loop, yarn over twice, go behind and come out to the front of your double crochet post, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Now I'd like to bring this down to show you that this first stitch is where our treble would have gone. So we're going to skip that stitch, and in the next stitch I'm going to place my thumb right there, and that's where our next stitch will go, which we will make a double crochet. Now if you want, you can pull your tail over as well, and that'll be a part of holding it down. So here's what we have so far. Now this is going to set our first treble. We're going to skip our next double crochet next to it, and in the next one we're going to place our next treble. So hold your finger on your loop, yarn over twice, skip that first one. In the second one, draw up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And if you need to, pull it down. Take note of where your double crochet was in that last stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch, and in the next one we'll place our double crochet. And as before, you can hold your tail down with that one. So here's where the tail is right here. Now I'm going to weave this in later, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop it to the back. So let's move on. We're going to make another treble. I will show you this one more time, and I'm sure you can do this on your own. Place your finger on the loop, yarn over twice, skip the first double crochet and into the second one, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And if you need to, pull it down. Our double crochet is here. Skip one stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Alright, so continue this stitch all the way around. Your last stitch, right here's our chain, so your last stitch here will be a treble, and when you're finished there, we will slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. Please pause your video. So how did you do? I hope yours turned out in the correct order. After we slip stitched into the top of the chain 3, we're going to chain 1, and in this row we're going to single crochet all the way around. So go right into the top of the double crochet, the front post treble, sorry I called it the wrong thing, and into the double crochet place a single crochet, and then into the front post treble, single crochet. So we're doing 1 single crochet per stitch all the way around. Continue that. I'll meet you at the end of the row after we slip stitch, and we're going to chain 3. Quick and easy, wasn't that row? So we've chained 3. Now what we're going to do is this chain 3 is going to be considered the back side or the on side of this. It will still count, but we need to place a treble right here. We're going to be doing the opposite of our front post treble. Let me start that one again. This is row 5. After we've chained 3, we're going to place our front post treble over this chain stitch that was our beginning of our row in row 3. So finger on the loop, yarn over twice, our front post treble, remember to look behind and skip the stitch, or to be on the good side, we got our front post treble, single crochet, and our double crochet will go right there. You're going to see that this row will be alternating from the previous front post row. So our treble, front post treble, will go around our available double crochet, and then you're going to skip a stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. Continue with this all the way around till we get to the end of the row, where we will change colors. I'll meet you there. At the end of the row, and you've completed your front post treble, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. Cut your yarn, and here I have my other color. I know on camera it looks blue, but this color is the hyacinth. It is a medium shade of the purple. So we're going to take the yarn, go over there, over the loop, tighten that chain, chain 1, and we're going to single crochet this whole row. Now you can also single crochet over our tail so you don't have to weave that one in. Alright, single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Before we move on to complete this row, I wanted to remind you that this is row 2. So our pattern is now going to repeat itself, where we're going to do the single crochet for the one row, we're going to do the front post treble, double crochet for the second, for that row 3, the single crochet row 4, and then the alternate scoot over for the front post treble, that's row 5. So we're going to repeat rows 2 through 5, but because of the color changes, I'm going to help you out on that there. I'll see you at the end of the row. Now with this color, we're going to repeat row 3, the single crochet, which will be row 4, and row 5. I'm going to get you started on this row, and then I'm going to encourage you to continue on. Remember, after you do your front post double crochet row, to do a row of single crochet. So here we are with our double crochet. Our chain here is available for our treble. So let's go ahead and place our treble into our chain stitch here. and then as before you want to skip one stitch. In the next stitch, double crochet. Alright, so continue on around, and after this row, single crochet, then you will do the alternate row and single crochet, and I will meet you there for our color change again. So here we go. We have completed the second color, and now we're going to go back to the same color that we used on our base. So let's go ahead and cut our yarn, and we're going to do the same thing that we did. So our first row here is going to be the single crochet. Here. Hang on a second. Sometimes I feel pretty funny. I pulled some out and then I brought the skein over and I couldn't find the end. Okay, so we're going to have our little tail. We're going to bring our yarn through, and we're going to tighten the other one and chain one. And with this color we can place our tail under our stitching. So here's our chain, and single crochet in the next stitch. So go ahead and repeat the pattern, rows 2 through 5, so that we have this color here is this color here. And when we complete this, I'm going to show you how to finish this, because we'll be using the same color as this right here. So let's go ahead and do that, and I encourage you to get something to drink, get something to eat, stretch out a little bit, turn on some music or watch your favorite movie as you're doing this. It'll probably take you about an hour. See you then. Pause your video. Something I wanted to point out to you is that I now have approximately a 9-inch circle. So when we did our bottom here, it did make it come out just a little bit more here. So that's okay. It's a little bit bigger than what we wanted, but it'll be able to hold quite a bit of stuff in here. I'm going to set my phone in here. I have yes, I had to show some. This is how big my phone is in here. So there is plenty of room. I have a Note 8, and as you can see, while I use my GoPro, I use the GoPro app to help me to make sure that the camera is in focus and on where it's supposed to be at. Isn't that creepy? Here, you want to see something really funny? I know I had to add a little humor. Okay, so continue on with this, and when you finish row 2 through 5, do another row of single crochet so that we can start our next stitch, which will be the jasmine stitch. So remember to do row 2 through 5 and then 1 row 2, which will be just the single crochet. Okay, thank you. See you in a little bit. Bye. After we've completed this last row, remember, don't forget your single crochet row. We're going to go ahead and cut our yarn, and we're going to go ahead and start here on the bottom to finish it off. I am choosing the same color yarn here. If you wish to use a different color, I encourage you to do that. Let's get started on this. So to begin, you want to have a long tail, 8 to 10 inches. Fold it in half, like so, and we're going to take it and put it on the inside of our bag. Flip our bag back over, and with our hook, we're going to go through, find that loop. May take a second. And then pull it up. All right? I have a dog in my house, and sometimes the dog loves to follow me. So the next thing we're going to do is the long tail. You want to drop that. And we're going to pick up our working yarn, which is the yarn that comes from our skein. Now this is going to be a little challenging, but I'm sure that you can do it. You want to take your hook. You notice how we have the loop on our hook. Go down, pick up the yarn, that's your working yarn, pull it up through the loop. Make sure you got all the strands. Apparently I missed a few. And then go through your loop. Now, since it's the first one, you can adjust it with the tail. But you want to try and make your loops so that they'll be long enough to go to the next one. Now that we have another loop on our hook, go back down inside the next hole, and with your working yarn, put it on your hook, pull it up, and pull it through that loop. If you need to twist it a little, do that. Make sure all the strands are on your hook, and then snug it up just a little bit. There you go. All right, let's do this one more time. We're going to be doing it all the way around. I'm going to show you a few more times. So take your hook, go down into the next hole, pick up your yarn, bring it through your loop, twist your hook just a little bit. There we go. You see how that gives it a nice finish? Let's do it again. Now you're going to find that you're going to get a rhythm going on here where you know the size of the loop that you need for the next hole and how much tension also. And I found that twisting that loop just a little bit helps it. Okay? So go ahead and go all the way around. When you get to your last loop, I'm going to show you how to finish to make it look like a continuous loop. I have come to the last one where I've pulled up through the last hole. I'm going to go ahead and take my yarn with some about 12 inches length, and I'm going to cut it. Then I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to open it up and pull that last piece through. And as you can see, it'll hold on to this one. So now we need to go under this one. Remember, our tail is still loose, but we're going to go ahead and we'll tighten it up as necessary. So I put my hook through, I pulled the yarn through. Now we have where it's under these two. Now we're going to go back through this hole. So take your hook, go inside, and come up through that hole and into the center of that last loop. I want everything to look continuous. Now, let's see, here we go. And then we're going to take our tail here, put it around your hook, and go back through that hole. Careful not to snag all the other yarns, and pull it through. Okay, so here's where we've completed it. Let's fix it so it doesn't look twisted, and you cannot tell where we stopped and started. So let's go inside. I'm going to snug up this one tail and this other tail We're going to place a square knot on it. And I'm going to do it so I have one more loop on top of that square knot, and then I'm going to take my ends and weave them in onto the same color. Go ahead and do that, and with any other loose ends that you have, this one as well. Are you ready for the exciting part of this bag? Go ahead and pull out your variegated yarn. We're going to start with a slip knot and about a 4-inch tail. Go ahead and do that, and let's get started. Now, our first row of this will seem odd to you, but it will look nice when it's done. So with our slip knot on our hook, I'd like for you to pick up and do a front post single crochet, which means we're going to go under a single crochet from the bag and draw up a loop and complete a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now back into the single crochet, we're going to place a 2 treble cluster. So we wrapped twice on the hook. We're going to go through 2 loops of our single crochet, draw up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We will have 2 loops at the end because we have not completed the third one. Yarn over 2 times, and in the same space draw up another loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over through all 3, and then kind of snug it up so that it's a little tight through here. Not tight tight, just tight. Then take your work and bring it down, and with your right hand, because I'm right-handed, bring your working yarn over to the side. We've placed our first front post here. We're going to skip 2 single crochets, and in the third one we're going to do another front post single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over and drop a loop, yarn over and complete that single crochet. Okay, so it will look like it's dipping down, but it'll work out in the long run. And then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do the same thing we have just done all the way around for this whole row. I'm going to show you how to do this a couple more times, so don't worry. We're going to do this together. After our chain 4, yarn over 2 times. We're doing our treble cluster of 2 together. Now raise up your little loop a little bit so you can see your single crochet. Go in through 2 loops and draw up a loop. Yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Wrap twice again, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We have 3 loops left through all 3, and then snug it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to skip. Okay, we did this one, so we want 1, 2, and in our third one do another front post single crochet. I'm going to draw up a loop, yarn over, and complete your single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what we have so far with just the 2. Okay? Yarn over 2 times through the top of our single crochet, drop a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over twice in the same space, drop a loop, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, and through all 3, and remember to snug it up just a little. Bring your little cluster down, just straight down, and we're on this one, so skip 1, 2, and in the third one, do your front post single crochet. Okay, and then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so this is what we're going to have for right now. This is going to start our jasmine stitch, but we're using treble clusters to make it. So continue this all the way around. For those of you who have more than 96, you want to have a number that will work with 3, a multiple of 3. If you come to the end and you have a multiple, 2 left over, that's fine, because we can work all that in. If you have 1 left over, just make it so that you'll have 4. Go all the way around, and when you come to the end here, I'll show you how to finish this row. So here at the end of the row, I have 2, and I'm going to place a slip stitch into that first single crochet. Okay, so this brings all of our loops together. I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the same first single crochet we're going to do the cluster, the 2 treble cluster. Now before you finish this is where we're going to start making our star, or the beginning of our jasmine stitch. We're going to come back, we're going to skip this whole cluster right here. So we're over here, we have our cluster here, so we're going to skip this cluster, and in that single crochet space where we placed all our other stitches, we're going to place a 3 treble cluster. So yarn over twice, and in that single crochet space draw up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and stop. You'll notice that we do have 4 loops on our hook, where we're going to do 2 more of the trebles into that same space, yarn over once, yarn over twice, and stop. Wrap one more time. Okay, now you're wondering why we're doing 3 trebles. Okay, because we're not starting with the chain stitch. If we start with a chain stitch, we're only going to do 2. So here at the end of these 2 clusters, we have 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over and aim your hook down, and at the same time push up and pull your stitches down, and then pull your hook right through all those stitches, and then tighten up your loop here. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is what we have so far, and this is going to start our second row. Now if you would like, so that you know the beginning and the ending of your row, let's go ahead and place a stitch marker right here. And that was in the very first where we placed our slip knot. Here's our tail. We'll weave that in later. Okay? Now to do what is known as the rest of the row, we're going to be doing 3 clusters at a time. Now since this is our first one, all chain 4s do count as the first treble in the beginning of the stitch. So yarn over twice into that chain stitch, drop a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We're going to do this one more time. Okay, so let's go down this cluster, and then this one that we were just at, we're going to place another cluster. And this time we'll add 3. So there's 1. Remember, you don't complete the treble all the way. We're just going over through, yarn over twice, 1 and 2. Okay, so we have 1, 2. Now we're going to go to our next one and through the single crochet. Here's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. Now you'll notice we have 3 clusters. So yarn over and tighten it all up. Okay? And here's what we have so far. We have the 2, and then we have the 1 across and the 2 down. Okay, so let's start on our next set of 3. Well, we've already chained 1, so 1, 2, 3. Yarn over twice through the stitch. Okay. So here's our first cluster. Where do we go next? That's right, we follow right down to the next. There's 1. There's 2. And here's the third part of this 3 treble cluster. Okay, so here's 1 and 2. Let's do treble number 3. And there's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. All right. Go through all of them. Close it up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Continue the 3 all the way around until you get to here. This will be the one before. So stop here, and that way I'll show you how to finish the last, where we will make 4 clusters together. If you need to refer to the video and come back, I encourage you to do so, but I think you can do this on your own. See you in a few minutes. Please pause your video, maybe get up and get something to drink, or turn on some music on the computer as you're sitting here doing your work. At the end of this first row, this is what you want yours to look like, because the last group we're going to do 4 clusters. We'll do our first one here, our second one here, our third one where our stitch marker is, and our fourth one will be up here. If you haven't gotten that far yet, please pause your video and then we will go ahead and start again. Hooray, hooray, we're ready to move on. I know my humor's dry. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this last section. Yarn over twice. And since you already know what to do, I'm not going to have to remind you. And to add on, what we do this row, we're basically doing the next couple of rows as well. But I will get you started, and then you can continue with how many rows you would like. The beginning of every row will have 2 clusters, and then at the end of every row it will have 4, as what we're doing right now. So where our stitch marker is, I'm going to leave that there, but I'm still going to put my stitching in there. So here we have 1, 2, let's do our number 3, there's 2, 1 more. Okay, now number 4, you're going to say, where in the world do I attach that? Okay, where we have our group. We come up here, we came here, this is where we're going to place our last one. So we have our 3 here. Let's yarn over twice, move our stitch marker out of the way, and into that hole, see there? The hole. Okay, and we're going to do the 3 treble cluster. There's 1, there's 2, and there's number 3. Okay, so we have right here in front of us 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of these clusters. Now, as before, yarn over, push your hook up, and bring it through all of those loops. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you have completed that first row. Stand up, say yay, clap, be happy. Looks nice, doesn't it? I think at a distance, because of the lighting on this is purple for me. This is a medium purple, and this is a light purple, and then down here is the darker purple again. I know the camera is making it look like it's blue, but I'm trying to make it look like the Northern Lights, so this is what we have. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take our stitch marker out, and we're going to raise it up to where we just finished right here. And this will be the beginning of our next row. You remember how we started our other row? Well, we're going to do the same thing right here. We're going to do 2, the treble, because our first double crochet counts as 1. So here's our 2 treble together. Alright, and then we're skipping this group right here because that's a cluster, and we're going to go right here into this hole. So we're going to do 3 treble cluster. Here's 2, and here's number 3. Now remember, this is the beginning of the next row, so you only do 2. 1 and 2. And then yarn over and through all of that, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to do the 3. We got 1, 2, and 3. And we will do 3 all the way around until you complete to right here. So let's do this one real quick, just to get you started. I hope this has been easy for you. I thought that the doing a treble cluster would be a lot easier than doing the puff stitch. And my also concern was with the puff stitch, being that it's a tote bag, it could snag a lot easier. And I did not want that to happen for you and all the work that you're putting into this bag. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. I guess in a sense you can say it's kind of like a mochila bag or a wayu bag, but we're just using different stitches. And here we group our clusters together, close it off, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to encourage you to do this however wide you want to go. I'm planning on doing 3 or 4 rows, so mine will probably end up, let's see if I can get my finger in the video here. It's probably going to end up being about, let me get this out. So here I have 2.5 inches. So if I do 4 rows, I'll have a total of 5 inches for this cluster here, or basically however much my yarn will let me go. But that's my plan, to do 4 rows. Once you get to the end of the 4th row, I'm going to show you how to start with our purple again. So go ahead and do this. Take your time, and when we start up again, we're going to start with our darkest color of purple again. If you have any concerns, please review the video that we've done, and that way you can make sure that you get it right. I hope you have no problems with this. I thought it would be the easiest stitch for all of us to do. You'll also notice too, you can see a little star here. Isn't that what the Northern Lights have? Waves, colors, and a little star effect. Okay, well, we'll see you in a couple of rows. Please pause your video, get something to drink, stand up, stretch your feet, and watch some YouTube videos or a favorite movie. And I'll see you in a little bit. Please pause your video. Well, as my luck would have it, here's what I have left. Not enough to do another row. I'm really kind of disappointed. But it looks nice anyway. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to move on so that we can start back on, not this exact pattern, but to get out of our jasmine star here. So after you complete the last 4 of your cluster, you want to chain 3. Only on this one, because the first chain closes the stitches joined. The next 2 will move us on to the next space. After you do that, we're going to single crochet in that next hole. Now you'll find that the chain 2 will be a little short. It's doing this on purpose so that we can have that little loop like we had down here. So after your single crochet, chain 2 in the next hole, which will be the length of 1 cluster, another single crochet, and try to push your clusters to your front side. Chain 2, single crochet in the next hole there. Repeat this around until you get to your beginning. And I guess I should have said this at first. Place your stitch marker in there and that'll help you to remember that that's where you began at. Go ahead and do that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker. At the end, do you chain 2 and single crochet into that first space. And go ahead and cut our yarn with a tail. And we're going to move on to our first color here, which is the dark purple. With the darker color, we are going to go into our single crochet and make a single crochet. This row will be the same as our last row that we did before the jasmine stitch. So in our chain 2, we're going to place 2 single crochets. And then in our single crochet, we're going to place 1 single crochet. So we're going to continue this all the way around so that you have the same stitches you started with this row here. Mine is 96. Continue around and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Slip stitch into the first single crochet. Double check your stitch count. I made sure I had 96. Chain 2. This row is not going to be exactly like the rows that we've done before. We're going to do something just a little bit different. Change the upper half of the pattern. So this whole row we're going to do half double crochets. To do a half double crochet, yarn over in the stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over through all 3. Do that all the way around. I'll meet you at the end. Please pause your video. So at the end, make sure you have 96 if this is your stitch count, or the stitch count you had on the bottom rows. And we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2. This round we're going to chain 1 and we're going to single crochet all the way around, and our next row we will start our pattern. So single crochet in each stitch around. Make sure you double check your stitch count. At the end, slip stitch into the top of the chain 1 and chain 2, and I will meet you there. So to continue on with our pattern, you're going to find that it's similar to the ones we did down below. The difference is the height of them. So our chain 2 is going to count as 1 stitch, and we're going to move on to the next. So we're going to do a front post double crochet, and that double crochet front post is going to be around the half double stitch. So yarn over, bring up a loop, yarn through 2, yarn through 2. And we're going to skip that first stitch, and in the second stitch a single crochet. Our next stitch, so you skip the next half double, will be in the next. We'll do a front post double crochet, skip that back stitch, single crochet in the next. Continue that all the way around till you get back here to the chain 2. I'll meet you there and we'll go on to our next row. Your last stitch of this row should be your front post double crochet. Your chain 1 right here, or chain 2, is your single crochet. So let's let's slip stitch into the top of the chain 2, and we're going to chain 1. This row we will single crochet in each stitch around, and the next row will be the repeat of the double crochet in the alternate stitching, and then I will show you what your repeat's going to be using the colors and these 2 rows of single crochet and the front post with the single crochet. At the end of this row, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 1 and single crochet in the next stitch, and then in the next, the single crochet that we did at the same row with a double crochet, we're going to do a front post double crochet. We're going to skip 1 stitch from behind and single crochet in the next stitch. Continue this around and I'll meet you at the end. So this is what you're going to be doing when it comes time to changing your colors. You do have 2 rows of the front posts with the single crochet. So we're going to cut, go bring in our next color. I'm using the medium purple, and we're going to slip stitch into that first chain on the single crochet. Alright, chain 1 and single crochet around. Your next row will be the front post staggering, so you will start either before or after applying a single crochet, or the front post double crochet if necessary. We're going to be following the same color order as we did below. I have the dark purple, the medium purple, and then the light purple. You will do 2 rows of the double crochet or the front post double crochets on each one with a single crochet row in between. When you change your color as shown here, you will go ahead and change to the next row, the next color on the first single crochet row of that. So go ahead and do that. Finish your total of the colors that you have here, and I will meet you after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of front post double crochets. After completing the total of the 3 colors with the 2 rows and the single crochets in between, end on a single crochet on the 3rd color, and then we're going to go back to using our dark purple color, where we're going to do 4 rows of half double crochet. Go ahead and do that, and then we will be able to do our straps and our closure for our bag. So at the end of the 4 rows of the half double crochet, this is what we have. So let's move on to our chain stitch for our closure. To make our closure, we're going to use the 2 colors. I'm using medium purple, and the other one is hyacinth. This is a medium purple kind of color, and this is more of a lighter purple, even though it says medium. So we've joined the 2 together with a slip knot, and now we're just going to make a chain stitch using the 2 colors randomly coming up as you go along. Go ahead and make your strand long enough to go around your bag, plus 6 inches for each side, so we can tie a bow when you close it. The measurement that I have come up with will be 36 inches. For our strap, we will be using our green vinyl, and I came up with a little design and the measurements to help you create the same design. You'll see here that I took a sheet of paper and I folded it in half, and I drew a line 5/8 of an inch from the fold, so it'll go all the way down. Somewhere down here towards the bottom, I drew a line and I came up 1 inch and 3/8, and I placed a line here and I placed a line right here. On the outside, I drew a 1/4 inch line. What I'm trying to do here is to encourage kind of like a swirl that'll make a nice little end for our strap. So here's what I've done. I went ahead and cut it out, and then I took my 1/4 inch hole punch and I proceeded to cut, when it was folded in half, one in the center and then one up along the edge, as so. And when you open it, we have a nice little cutout here. I put one in the center because when we sew it on to our purse, I wanted to use this circle right here. Let me give you an example of what it should look like. As in paper, we will line it up here, and it will be just wide enough so that we can put a fold. This isn't exact, but so a piece of the purse will come out, or the tote bag will come out, that will hold our strap up. So if you like to do this method, I'm going to show you how to continue on. If you just want to take the piece of the green vinyl and cut it out and put the holes in it, you can do that as well. But let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our vinyl. We're going to trace this out and use the holes that we punched as part of our pattern on marking our vinyl, like we did on the beginning for the circle. The vinyl that I purchased comes in either 60-inch wide or 45-inch wide. This will be plenty for you to make a decision on how you make your strap, either as a cross strap, a shoulder strap, or even something just to place over your arm to carry your bag. So what we're going to do is, with the long end, this is my long end right here, I'm going to place it down here just enough from the edge, and then you go ahead and you will trace out. You will also place your circles as to where they go in reference to the pattern cutout that we made. When you decide how long you want, then you will take this same picture, but you will flip it over so that you will have one end down here and one end over here. Go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what to do next. If you wish, you can cut out two. That way you'll have the green on both sides. I will, since my vinyl is thick enough, I'm just going to do the one. Here you'll see on the back of my vinyl, I have marked the same as my template here. And you can take your hole punch and line it up. And out it comes. Go ahead and do that all the way around the whole length of the strap. Go ahead and get all your holes punched out. It will take a little bit of time. Please be patient with it. And when we're done, we're going to crochet around it to give it a nice finish. And while you're cutting this out, you can think about what color you might like to use around the edge of this. I will be using my dark purple. After punching out all of the holes, took me probably about 20 minutes, let's go ahead and start the crochet around the edge. Whoops, I'm out of camera range, sorry about that. Around the edges here. I'm going to start here to show you how to do around the edge here. So with a slip knot on your hook, I'm going to start here to show you what we're going to do. We're going to be doing single crochets around, and we're going to be placing 2 single crochets in each of the holes. As we get closer to the curve, some of them may require 3. I notice here that as I put these in, so I'm just going to do 1 in that one, and we'll do 2 on this one, then 2 in here. So as we go around these curves, as you put them on, check to see if you will need extra stitches in each one of these holes. So I have 2 here. I'm going to place 3 in this one because I'm sure it's going to need 3 to go around that curve. Yes, it does. And here I'm going to place 1, and then we'll place 2 on this one, and then at the very bottom one we might need 3 or 4 depending on how your single crochets fit in this curve going around. So it looks like 3 will do it, and then we'll go back and do 2 as before, and then 3 in this curve again, and then 2 in this one, one and 2. Okay, and you can see how we have a nice little curve around here. So continue with this all the way around until you get back. You'll slip stitch into the first one and then weave in your ends, and I'll show you how to finish off the edges. It'll be the same as we did with the bottom of the basket. I wanted to show you what we're going to do to finish the insides of these. If you remember when we did our bottom, we pulled up a loop, then we took our working yarn and pulled it up and went through the loop. So this is what we'll be doing to finish the strap as well. Okay, so to show you that, so after you finish your single crochet all the way around, you'll come back in and do your chain stitch all the way around as well. And then I'll show you how to sew this onto your bag and how to load your straps, and then we'll put some tassels on it and call it a day. So here I'm showing you the finished look of my strap. I hope yours looks as good as mine. You'll see here that I've sewn one end already onto my bag. I wanted to show you what the finished look will be like. I've sewn around the holes, and then I created some like chain stitches to fill so this would have a circle. I plan to go around this with a running stitch because I notice that when I pull on it, these ends come up just a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to go around this here, and I'm going to encourage you to do a running stitch right here along the edge of your stitch afterwards. But this is to show you what the finished look will look like. So now that I have one on already, what we want to do is take our bag and fold it in half like this. And here I've pinned mine on the other side to show you this is where my placement is going to be. Now if you punched your holes in the centers of your strap, you want to place that hole below the first row of your half double crochets here, and we'll start sewing here and going around. Let me go ahead and thread my needle and we will begin. Now I'm going to come up from the bottom here and go through one of the holes. You want to be on the outside of the hole so your stitching will be on the inside. Make sure you leave enough for a tail, and then just do where you go from one hole to the next, and then you want to come back and go back through that same hole, making sure that you pick up the stitching from below. Okay, and you want to make sure it's straight. And then you want to go back. Okay, now on the finished part, I went around mine twice, but I'm just going to show you how to do it once here. And now here we are at the center hole. Okay, so I'm going to come up through the middle of this stitch right here, and then I'm going to go under and into that hole and come up through that hole. I'm going to place the yarn underneath my hook, my needle. Okay, and then just pull it tight enough so that it closes the loop, and then I'm going to go down through the center of that loop again and come up over here on the other side, so it would be like the first loop. Then I'm going to take the yarn and go around the needle, the pointy end of the needle again, and there we have it. We have like a circle that goes all the way around. Now to finish it so it doesn't unravel, go on the outside of the loop into that same hole and then come up through another hole. And there you'll go around again. So go ahead and do that for both of them, and if you would like, go ahead and stitch around the outside of this as well. I will show you next on how to place your chain stitch on. So to go ahead and add your strap, we want to take right here and fold it and come back about an inch on each side. So let's take our hook and go in between the stitching on the second row, and pull it through. Then we're going to fold it an inch and bring it in to the center of the bag. This will be for one side on the back. So when you close it, you see how you get that fold look here. So this will be the back portion. So let's go ahead and do this to the other side over here. So we're going to come out. We're going to fold it down an inch. That means we're going to come up through the second row. And when we fold it, we're going to come down right here. Okay. So when we close our bag, we have this nice little closure. Now this will be the back. So let's flip it over. And for the front, we're going to come over the same 1 inch and pull it through. It's like we've already got over here on this side. So here on the front, we're going to go under and then come out close to the center. So we're going to go over about 1 inch, come down, and then right here is where our center is, and we're going to come up. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side. But when you come up on the other side, we want to come over a stitch. So that way we can tie it shut here. So when we close it, we have a nice little fold here. Of course, you're going to have to train it a little bit, but you can see how it'll pull it all shut. There we go. And then we just tie it. Have a nice little bow. Now if you would like to put tassels here, that is your option. If not, you'll have nice finished edges. Okay? So I'd like to say thank you for following me on this journey of making this Northern Lights tote bag. I hope you enjoy yours. I enjoyed showing you how to make it by using vinyl and yarn. It shows that we can use different mediums instead of just yarn to create something that we enjoy a lot. Come back again and see me some other time when I hope you will join me in the making of another crochet project. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.